everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to understand the process to create the load balancer. We'll create the application load balancer. So let's try and understand. I'll start with the VPC. So as far as VPC is concerned, you can basically look at the other video which I have created, AWS VPC Masterclass. I'll attach it in the description as well. You can go through that. I'll just explain the VPC. So this is our VPC. And in the resource map, you can see that there are two public subnets, and both the public subnets they are attached to this public route table, and it is connected to internet gateway. So this is my basic setup, and it is divided into zones. Basically, one public subnet is in 1A, the other in 1B. This is required for a load balancer. That is why I have created in two availability zones. Now let's go to EC2. First, I have created the launch template. So there is also another video about the launch template, how to create the launch template. So in this launch template, the launch template name is my web server ID LD, and in this you can see I have assigned the key pair, the instance type is strictly micro, and then the security group and what would be my availability zone. Everything is described in this. We need a launch template just so that we save time putting all the configuration. You can directly launch template from here. You can specify number of instances, and then the instances would be launched. I have already launched two instances here, the admin instance and top instance here. So one is going to, let's check the admin instance. You check the output here. This is my admin instance. As you can see, it is returning the host name, admin controller host name 10006. This is the private IP address of the admin instance. This is one. And similarly, for the top instance, this is calling this top instance, and the private IP address is 10.0.0.0. Okay. And now I am directly calling these instances using the IP address, public IP address. Instead of that, I will now call to the load balancer. So the next step after launching the instance is the target group. So to create target groups, I'll just show the process. You go to target groups. What are target groups here? You can select what is the target type, whether it is instances, IP address, Lambda function, application load balancer. So we have two instances, right? So we'll be mapping the target type as instances. And then there are also options to IP addresses, like you can specify the IP addresses that is generally used in case of ECS or the on-premises servers that you might be connecting to. You can even specify Lambda as the target type. So basically, your ALB or your NLB, ALB basically you will be calling the Lambda function. In that case, you can specify the target type as Lambda, or you can call the other application load balancer. And in this case, the source always has to be the network load balancer. So these are the various types of target type. Then you specify the name of the target, the protocol, and what would be my port number. In this case, it is 8080. Then we specify the VPC. Then we also need to specify the health checks. Now, this health check is very important because the instance, the application that you are running, right, on the particular instance, whether it is up or not, or whether it is healthy or not, so it is basically understood from this. So the load balancer basically understands that okay, through this health checks, and okay, the instance is basically the application is in a healthy state, and I can actually forward the request to that particular instance. If the health checks fail, then application load balancer will not forward the request to that particular instance. So this health check is very important. And then this thresholds basically how many successive attempts or successive counts are required or consecutive counts are required to term the basically the application as healthy. Unhealthy, if the same number of attempts that it will fail, then you term it as unhealthy. Timeout seconds, then interval, how frequently will you call the health checks, and what will be successful. And then these are the attributes, and this is how you create the health checks. I have already the target group. I have already created two target groups, as you can see here. So this is the instance ID that I have associated. So my target type is instance, as you can see. The protocol is 8080. VPC is our VPC that I had shown. And then basically we are just in the using one availability zone, but load balancer will actually need to have not registered any target group in the other availability zone. I just created the subnet. This is just a demo, right? So that is why. And then this is my another target group. Okay. So target group is basically having multiple. You can have multiple instances here. You can register multiple instances. You can have 4, 5, 6, whatever number of instances that you want. So what load balancer will do is basically it will forward request to these target groups. It doesn't send the uh, forwards the request to the instance directly. It uses target groups. So the flow is basically I'll hit the URL, and once it hits the load balancer based on certain kind of mapping, whether it's host based or it is path based, query string based, whatever that you have set in the rules, right? On based on that, it will identify, okay, this is the target group, and then it will call this particular target group. That's what the target group does. Now let's check this out. We'll check the load balancer here. Okay, so here it is. If I go into load balancer and I click on create, I will make it ALB internet-facing. Here there is option of dual stack. Either you can make it completely API, IP version 6 based, or if you want to support both IP version 4 and IP version 6. That is why we have this. Then my load balancer will belong to this VPC. Now here we have availability zone and subnets. Right? We need to select at least two availability zones. So that's a must for creating a load balancer. Just keep that in mind. I have these two subnets, public subnet in 1A, public subnet 1B. Then we have uh, the security group. So I will create a security group here for load balancer. This is my VPC. I will set the inbound rules. So what all inbound rules? I will set HTTP. HTTP I will take custom TCP. I want 8080 for now. I'm just going to use 8080. And my Spring Boot is running on the 8080 port. I create this security group. And again come here. If I do a refresh, I get my LVSC. Okay. My security group is set. Security group is necessary. So what all inward connection that you are allowing for? In this our case, we are just allowing 8080 port. That's it. To any TCP from anywhere. Now this is very important. We are going to set the listener here. Okay, I'll set listener to 8080, and you can forward to target groups, the target group that we had created, admin group or shop group, or you can even send a plain text response. Okay, it is up to us. And then you can also send a redirect URL. You can redirect to some other URL that you want. It is also an option. But for now, we'll just send this to our, or maybe I'll just set it for now, default plain message, default rule of load balancer. So this is load balancer tags, and the load balancer basically you can either integrate with CloudFront or application web firewall, WAF. So all these stuff are present here. We will not get into that for now. And then we'll just create the load balancer. Now the load balancer is going to take a bit of time here. And in our case, this is my basically Spring Boot application. It's a simple application. So here the path is basically admin, and this particular uh, API would be executed. And I'm just returning admin controller and the repository. I'm similarly for shop controller. and sending the path as shop. So we'll demoing the path based routing for our load balancer. First, let the load balancer get created, then I'll show you how do we set the rules. So you will need to set the rules. Based on the rules, it will decide, okay, this is my path, and for that particular path, I will go to a particular target group, which we have already discussed. While it is provisioning, we'll try to add the rules here. See, one rule I had added. Okay, so this is my protocol HTTP 8080, and in this case, I'm just returning a fixed response. This is my default rule. Okay, this is my first rule. Okay, if I go here, right, this is the last default rule. Now I'll just add a new rule. Just keep this in mind. Inside load balancer, in the listeners and rule. So this is my listeners. Okay, this is just for the configuration. So in this case, I can set the configure protocol and port. So I just configured the protocol has to be HTTP and my port will be 80. So suppose you have a different kind of combination HTTP 80, then you will have another listener here. So if you have HTTPS 443, then another listener here, something like this. You will add another, say like HTTPS 443. Okay, then you do certain action. Then if it is HTTP and it is 80, then you will have another listener. So in this way, create the number of listeners, and inside the listeners, you will have the rule. You just keep this in mind. Okay. So listener is at the top, which is basically based off created out of protocol in the port, and then there are rules. Now, if I click on the rules of that particular listener, okay, here I can add the rules. What would be my condition? So what I'm saying is basically what do you want? There are various methods that you can decide. In our case, we are going with path based. We also have the option of query string. You can set the source IP. You can set the host header using the header method, using the request method. So there are a lot of options using which you can actually do routing. So this is just used for routing. See, I'm using path now for now. I'm using path. So my path is, okay, as you can see, what is my path first? API admin. If there is any path which is basically beginning from API admin, then what will be my action? So this is my condition. You can have and or condition as well. There could be multiple conditions also, which is fine. But in our case, we are just going with value matching here, API admin, and after that slash star. Okay, after that, you can even do some transforming as well. So if there are some request host headers, etc., you can add some transformation as well. But for now, we are just going to do right forward to target group. So this is my admin path. So I am going to target the admin group. And as you can see, the weight percentage. So because I have only one target group here, we can have multiple target groups also. You can select multiple target groups also. So now this is how it is dividing. Okay, the weight percentage. I am giving more weightage to shop group. So that is why it is going 66%. So higher weightage goes to this one, and lower weightage goes to this one. So this is how the weight percentage goes to. You can decide the weight. Basically, uh, most of the requests should go to which target group. That is the weight part. For now, I'm just removing everything. So if there is only single target group, then obviously weight doesn't matter. And then you can basically ensure group stickiness. Yeah, I will give this name as priority. Basically, I need to give the priority. I will give the priority as one. And once I set this, I'll just add the rule. Now the rule is successfully created. So I go to load balancer. Load balancer is active. If I go into the listener, inside listener, this is the rule that I have created. Now I'll create another rule for shop. Okay, let's read that out. Just keep this in mind. So this is the listener details. Name and tag, you can give any name and tag that you want. Now we just add the condition path based slash API slash shop slash shop. And then shop group. This is going to shop group basically, the shop listing. Next, we give the priority as 2. Go to next and add rule. Now, if you look at the load balancer, listener and rules, as you can see, there are three rules for admin. This is my path. And this is the target group for admin. If I get this path, then it will forward to the admin group. And then for shop to shop group. So we are ready now with the load balancer part. Okay. So my load balancer is up and active. Now the listeners and the rules are everything is active. We are fine here. Let's try this out. This is my URL. So I get the DNS name. Here I get the DNS name and just copy this DNS name. My path is 8080 and I'm sending to admin. Okay. Now I get the private IP address of this particular request as 10.0.0.6. Now we know that this particular path from load balancer admin, it is going to admin group and admin group is pointing to admin instance. Now let's check the admin instance private IP address. As you can see, the private IP address of admin instance is 10.0.0.6. Okay. Now similarly, it's the same IP address. I'm just changing the path from admin. I'm just changing the path to shop. Now it is redirected to shop controller 10.0.05. Let's check the private IP address of shop instance. It is 10.0.0. So this is how you actually set up load balancer and the listener and the rules. So basically, listener and the rules are very important. Just keep that in mind. Now let's do one more thing. It is not matching the path. We had set admin shop as the path. Now let's please set some random path. See, now it is running default rule of load balancer. If you remember here, this last default rule is getting executed. Where we had set the fixed response. And what was the fixed response? Default rule of load balancer. It's a plain response that I had set. So this is how you can use load balancer. And in case of load balancer, you can set various types of conditions, right? What you can follow to basically in the target group. You set the instance in the target group, and in the load balancer, you use the target groups in the listener and rules. That's very important. Keep this in mind. And as far as rule is concerned, when you add a rule, you add the condition, and in the rules, basically, you provide what type of routing you want to use, routing condition that you want to use, header, path, query string, IP, etc. So these are the various methods that you can use. So thank you so much. Have a good day. This was the demo of how you set up the load balancer in AWS. This was the application load balancer. Just keep that in mind. Let me demo it. Thank you so much.